Countless individuals claim daily that they're determined to enhance their English skills. Yet only a handful truly achieve it. What's the reason? It's not due to insufficient talent, but rather because they fail to recognize the transformative force of a straightforward, unwavering practice. If you're prepared to amplify your expression, your chances, your destiny, then focus intently. Here are 6 everyday behaviors that hold the power to revolutionize your English abilities, your self-assurance, and how society perceives you. Morning practices aren't merely patterns. They're proclamations. Have music, they establish the framework for the person you elect to embody throughout the coming 24 hours. When your morning begins with a 5-minute English activation, you aren't simply rehearsing vocabulary. You're synchronizing yourself with an elevated conception of your future self. Consider the initial sounds that enter your consciousness each day. Do they echo yesterday's uncertainties, or represent the emergence of a more powerful, self-assured presence forming within? When you dedicate those 5 minutes to vocal reading, you're doing more than activating your speech mechanisms. You're instructing your consciousness to awaken, concentrate, and ascend. It's a modest ceremony, yet it transmits a profound signal. I'm honoring my commitment to myself right now. That singular demonstration of presence can redirect your entire day's trajectory. Because beginning with deliberate purpose ensures everything afterward flows with meaning. Most individuals undervalue how profoundly language constructs personal identity. Your words, your delivery, these directly shape your thinking patterns, emotional responses, and how you navigate through existence. When morning finds you vocalizing English, you're accomplishing more than perfecting articulation. You're forging a connection with your own expression. You're affirming that you merit attention, that your concepts warrant liberation from mental confines to find manifestation. Whether it's merely an article excerpt, a literary quotation, or a brief selection from cherished material, the simple action of voicing it establishes your authority. Initially, discomfort may arise, perhaps awkwardness, but therein lies the entire purpose. Development seldom feels effortless at its inception, yet always proves valuable ultimately. And the instant you detect yourself producing clearer sounds, more powerful delivery, greater certainty, something internal transforms. You start accepting that eloquence isn't some far-off fantasy. It's everyday commitment. Picture yourself positioned in your space, dawn light filtering through, grasping your device or reading material, articulating words that don't merely pass your lips, but awaken something formidable inside you. You sense your articulation forming unfamiliar sounds. You craft syllables deliberately. You expand beyond familiar territory instantaneously. This mechanism transcends linguistic education. It's cognitive conditioning. Each morning brings neural reprogramming of your English processing abilities. You're establishing recognition, diminishing pause, music, and fortifying mental connections. And the optimal element, it demands merely 5 minutes. 5 minutes most individuals squander browsing, postponing music, or drifting mindlessly. But you're different. You're establishing a pattern that accumulates. Because these 5 minutes prioritize quality over quantity. They emphasize steadfastness. They represent planting seeds whose roots extend deeper than current visibility allows. This practice derives its strength from recurrence. Single-day execution feels satisfying. Weekly commitment demonstrates advancement. Music but daily dedication. That's when metamorphosis occurs. You'll detect alterations in how effortlessly language emerges. Sentence construction accelerates. Articulation becomes fluid. Your speech mechanism discovers its cadence. Previous hesitations dissolve. Because verbal expression functions as musculature. And musculature strengthens through engagement. Preparation regains matter, not exclusively for competitors, not solely for entertainers, but for everyone wielding their voice as an instrument of opportunity creation. And whether conscious of it or not, your vocal presence ranks among your most valuable possessions. This practice owns it, enhances it, conditions it to emerge with conviction. Beyond linguistic benefits, this 5-minute ceremony instills self-regulation. It demonstrates honoring your aspirations before external demands surface. It emphasizes prioritizing development at dawn before diversions diminish your vitality. And when you embed that self-regulation into your core, it manifests throughout every existence dimension. Your communication transforms. Your physical bearing shifts. You enter dialogues with genuine engagement. You respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. You listen with greater focus. You evolve into someone refusing to await ideal circumstances. You generate opportunities through initial action. And everything originates from that elementary selection to commence your day, vocalizing English. A selection signaling trajectory, deliberation, and selfhood. And here's the reality most individuals neglect. The enhancement you pursue transcends improved English articulation. It concerns releasing a self version capable of demonstrating presence daily with meaning. When you position yourself before reflective surfaces or sit upon your resting place during quiet morning hours and dedicate those 5 minutes, you're transcending language rehearsal. You're rehearsing bravery. You're rehearsing dedication. You're rehearsing transformation into someone beyond dreaming of fluency, but executing genuine steps toward realization. That's where authentic power resides. Because linguistic command isn't constructed through extended periods. It's assembled through instances. And these instances, these 5-minute concentration intervals, serve as foundational components for a future where your speech carries precision, conviction, and the unmistakable vitality of someone understanding exactly their evolutionary direction. Your vocal expression embodies your authority. Begin each day selecting to amplify it. Most individuals believe English acquisition demands extensive study sessions, infinite grammatical regulations, or intricate instruction. But reality proves considerably simpler and infinitely more empowering. Excellence commences with one modest daily determination. Selecting an individual word and mastering it. Not examining it, not memorizing it, mastering it. A single daily word may sound almost excessively elementary, yet simplicity precisely generates life transformation. When you eliminate overwhelm and concentrate energy on one linguistic fragment, you render the progression attainable, controllable, and maintainable. You provide your consciousness space for respiration, absorption, connection. A single word transforms into a seed, and each daily application irrigates that seed. Eventually, that modest word contains significance, recollection, and assurance. That's authentic learning's genesis. Not through information saturation, but through illuminating individual corners sequentially until complete brightness emerges. Profound word acquisition means providing dimensionality. It transcends definition knowledge. You perceive its function. You investigate its vocal quality, its behavioral patterns within sentence structures, its semantic shifts depending on circumstances. When comprehension reaches this depth, abstraction vanishes. It becomes an instrument you command. Consider musicians practicing individual notes until instinctive. That's you rehearsing individual words until they integrate with your expression. And the optimal aspect, no instructor required, no classroom necessary, no perfection demanded, just inquisitiveness and steadfastness. Every conversational application, documentation, personal recording, or internal contemplation constructs fluency. You're assembling your English one meaningful component sequentially. And something powerful, almost psychological, emerges from selecting a word and declaring this belongs to me today. It establishes progress authority. Most individuals feel directionless during language acquisition because starting points remain unclear. They transition between subjects, overwhelmed by perceived deficiencies. But claiming one word establishes a modest victory, a triumph observable, palpable, and quantifiable. That triumph reinforces self-assurance. It signals your consciousness capability exists. Development happens. Forward movement continues. Confidence powers fluency. And this modest ceremony fuels it daily. With adequate rehearsal, that confidence amplifies beyond uncertainties, surpasses hesitations, and exceeds error apprehension. Tripling your words' daily usage generates authentic magic. It propels you from inactive learning toward dynamic implementation. You begin seeking incorporation opportunities throughout your day. Perhaps during friendship dialogues, perhaps in transmitted correspondence, perhaps during self-description. The instant real-life application occurs. Cognitive retention locks in. You're transcending English rehearsal. You're rehearsing courage, flexibility, and inventive reasoning. And when situational variations occur, you comprehend its character. You observe its versatility, its interaction with surrounding vocabulary, its integration into English cadence. This rehearsal converts words from unknowns into recognizable associates. And growing familiarity accelerates confidence development. Across weeks and months, something remarkable materializes. A single daily word becomes 7 weekly words. 7 weekly words become hundreds monthly. Hundreds of words establish foundations robust enough supporting your articulation, your expression, your existence. Vocabulary accumulates like compounding returns. Greater investment generates more powerful multiplication. And vocabulary expansion means worldview expansion. You comprehend cinema more rapidly. You detect conversational subtleties. You articulate yourself not merely sufficiently, but precisely and confidently. You begin sounding like someone transcending English speech. You master it. And everything originates from the elementary discipline of selecting one word and engaging it daily. But authentic transformation transcends linguistics. When this integrates into daily practice, how music, your conditioning your consciousness toward development focus even amid turbulence or demanding timetables. You're teaching yourself that enhancement doesn't demand tremendous exertion. It demands persistent exertion. This disciplinary form influences everything throughout existence. You become more purposeful. You become more observant. You appreciate modest progressions yielding substantial outcomes. And crucially, you cultivate self-reliance. You learn trusting your dedication capacity, your evolutionary potential to demolish obstacles daily. Because word selection equals progress selection, and daily progress selection makes remaining yesterday's person impossible. A single daily word transcends linguistic rehearsal. It's music, a personal covenant that you're becoming more resilient, more acute, and increasingly unstoppable with every progression. Most individuals navigate their transportation time as dead intervals, time requiring mere endurance. But their oversight concerns this transitional space, becoming among their day's most valuable segments. Your commute, whether 10 minutes or 60, can metamorphose into a private educational environment where fluency develops without strain, evaluation, or demonstration. When you select filling that duration with English, audio programs, dialogues, recorded literature, discussions, you transform your day's significance. You're no longer trapped in congestion or awaiting arrival. You're learning, you're developing, you're expanding cognitively while surroundings remain oblivious. And this distinguishes aspirants from achievers. Aspirants await ideal circumstances. How music achievers utilize available resources, wherever positioned, to ascend. English listening during transportation shem music conditions your auditory processing beyond textbook capabilities. You begin recognizing organic intonations, cadences and configurations exclusively employed by native communicators. You detect subtle articulation variations, word blending mechanics, sentence progression, speaker emphasis techniques. These elements resist page memorization. They require absorption. And when authentic voices surround you, authentic expressions, music, and authentic dialogues, your cognitive processes begin automatic mirroring. Without conscious effort, you absorb pacing, inflection, and conviction. You comprehend the language's musicality. That organic exposure becomes your most formidable instrument. And it materializes quietly, consistently, almost effortlessly. There's empowerment in integrating learning into daily lifestyle rather than compulsory activity. When English becomes your ambient soundtrack, your consciousness ceases perceiving it as foreign challenge and begins treating it as recognizable surroundings. That transformation accelerates fluency. Suddenly, English transcends occasional rehearsal. It integrates into your inhabited reality. You begin contemplating minor thoughts in English. You begin narrating your environment in English. You begin self-questioning in English. And once linguistic thinking commences, half the challenge concludes. Fluency transcends verbal articulation. It concerns alignment between cognition and expression. Your commute provides optimal opportunities building that alignment daily. And it transcends mere listening. It concerns participation. When appealing sentences emerge, echo them. Replicate the communicator. Duplicate their emotion, their precision, their cadence. Nobody observes you in vehicles. Nobody cares about bus whispers. And if noticed, what consequence? Their perspectives won't construct your future. Your rehearsal will. Every echoed phrase trains your articulation, producing previously impossible sounds. You're strengthening verbal musculature instantaneously. You're converting inactive listening toward dynamic learning. That transformation, modest yet powerful, generates exponential development. Eventually, previously complicated sentences emerge from your speech effortlessly. A primary advantage of utilizing commute time for conditioning involves emotional profundity gained from selected content. Audio programs and discussions access authentic experiences, authentic vulnerability, authentic wisdom. During listening, you transcend English acquisition. You connect to narratives, viewpoints, and moments, generating emotional response. That emotional connection amplifies learning because cognitive retention favors emotional content over mere auditory input. When you absorb someone describing their struggles, their achievements, their passions, you internalize language at deeper levels. Your preferred presenters become mentor figures, advancing your consciousness daily, even during driving, walking, or train sitting. They introduce novel vocabulary, novel expressions, novel thought patterns, all without study sensations. And the most magnificent aspect, no additional time required, no additional energy, no additional resources. You're simply transforming existing activities, traveling between locations, into daily developmental investment. This reflects successful people's operations. They capture moments others dismiss and convert them into powerful opportunities. They transform routine into advantage. They transform tedium into education. They transform silence into mastery. When treating commutes as personal classrooms, you establish advantages most people never realize exist. And after experiencing transformation, you'll permanently reconsider available time. Your commute isn't squandered time. It's the concealed passage toward the fluent, confident, unstoppable self version you've pursued. There exists a moment in every learner's path when realization strikes that speaking transcends mere skill. It's self-confrontation. When you dedicate 60 daily seconds speaking aloud without scripts, without evaluation, without amendments, you're entering that confrontation. You're addressing your own hesitation, your error apprehension, your sound-related insecurity. And during that moment, something exceptional materializes. You commence discovering your authentic English voice. Not your imagined voice, not your hoped-for voice, but your presently existing voice. This rehearsal compels encountering yourself precisely where you stand. And that authenticity provides ground where genuine advancement cultivates. You're no longer concealing behind silence. You're not awaiting authorization. You're selecting speech, expression, voice strengthening incrementally, daily. Recording yourself for 60 seconds might appear elementary, yet it ranks among the most transformative patterns developable. When recording devices activate, you become conscious of your mind's word, reaching mechanics, your mouth sound shaping processes, how thoughts transition between concepts. You detect gaps, you detect configurations, you detect development. This consciousness proves powerful because greatest improvements originate from clear self-perception. Too many learners avoid speaking from hearing their own errors. But your errors aren't adversaries. They're navigational guides. They reveal precisely what requires construction, refinement, rehearsal. And when listening to recordings, not for criticism, but comprehension, you become your personal instructor. You recognize previously unnoticed advancement. There exists remarkable liberation in unedited speech. For 60 seconds, perfection isn't pursued. You're permitting English flowing through you, whether disorganized or polished, rapid or gradual. That liberation births fluency. Fluency transcends flawless grammar. It concerns momentum. It concerns trusting your cognition adequately to speak without paralysis. When permitting yourself discussing your day, your emotions, your plans, your thoughts, you're conditioning cognitive processes toward English thinking rather than native language translation. That transformation proves massive. It elevates you from language memorization toward actually inhabiting it. The more you rehearse these 1-minute intervals, the easier natural self-expression becomes. You realize your voice contains strength even during trembling. And here's something most people never comprehend. Solitary speaking constructs courage for interpersonal speaking. When accustomed to hearing your personal voice, conversational speaking apprehension begins fading. You become comfortable with your cadence, your tone, your accent. You cease feeling ashamed of your sound because you've conditioned your auditory perception toward acceptance and eventual pride in advancement. Solitary speaking resembles identity rehearsal. Music, you learn self-introduction methods, experience description techniques, idea expression approaches. Music, these modest daily expression moments prepare you for substantial moments. Employment discussions, formal addresses, native speaker dialogues, previously intimidating opportunities. When you dedicate 60 fearless daily seconds to speech, you transcend English improvement. You strengthen the voice that will transport you into your destined existence. When selecting English as entertainment, you're accomplishing something far deeper than merely viewing programs or experiencing music. You're granting your cognitive processes permission for pressure-free learning. Entertainment carries emotional weight. It's absorbing. It's the daily segment when relaxation, openness, and genuine enjoyment occur. And that mental condition precisely facilitates effortless learning. When viewing preferred programming in English, nothing feels forced. You're absorbing. You're observing expressions, intonations, laughter, tension. You're experiencing language as native communicators inhabit it. And that exposure category possesses power no textbook, no instruction, no formal education can duplicate. It's language within its organic environment, and you occupy front row positioning. Consider your native language acquisition process. Music, it didn't involve verb memorization or worksheet completion. It involved listening, observing, laughing, repeating, responding. Viewing English programs or cinema replicates that organic learning mechanism. You absorb everyday phrases. Music, actual conversational language, not rigid mechanical textbook lines. You observe sarcasm, emotion, timing, humor, cultural indicators. Even silence communicates meaning, and your cognitive processes absorb everything unconsciously. You recognize configurations, sentence construction methods, idea transitioning techniques, excitement expression, frustration articulation, affection demonstration. Those configurations become recognizable. And recognition breeds conviction. Soon you transcend mere English comprehension. You experience it. Music introduces additional dimensions. Songs maintain persistence. They echo mentally. They replay emotionally. They carry sentiment, making language unforgettable. When experiencing English music, you're rehearsing cadence, articulation, progression. You comprehend word extension, compression, melodic manipulation. Music, sometimes individual song lines teach more about expression than complete grammatical instruction. And when finding yourself humming those lyrics throughout the day, at employment, during bathing, during walks, you're rehearsing effortlessly. That unconscious repetition constructs your fluency internally. It transforms English from studied subject toward inhabited reality. And then social media exists, among the most undervalued learning instruments. Following English, communicating content creators transforms your content stream into constant linguistic input. Humorous segments, inspirational recordings, narrative presentations, commentary, unscripted moments. You receive raw, unrefined English instantaneously. Not scripted, not refined. Authentic. You observe casual speech patterns, exaggeration techniques, joking methods, opinion articulation. You absorb contemporary slang, expressions, modern phrases absent from traditional textbooks. You comprehend tonal meaning alterations. You develop instincts distinguishing natural from awkward phrasing. Social media provides access to millions of voices. And greater voice diversity heard means stronger and more adaptable personal English development. But authentic magic materializes when entertainment becomes immersion. When English ceases feeling like subject matter and begins feeling like environment. Immersion occurs when cognitive processes cease translation and commence direct English thinking. It's when language achieves second nature status. Viewing programs, experiencing music, browsing English content. It surrounds you. It transforms your existence's background atmosphere. You comprehend effortlessly. You anticipate character dialogue. You grasp humor instantly. You sense phrasal meaning without analytical deconstruction. That organic comprehension constructs confidence more rapidly than any structured methodology. And this confidence doesn't remain cognitive. It flows into your articulation, your writing, your vitality, your presence. What renders this routine so powerful? It doesn't exhaust you. It doesn't resemble labor. It doesn't recoup.